Hey, how you doing? I'm Simon. In this video, we're going to show you how to stop your LED downlights from flickering, and depending on where you live in Australia, help you understand some of the reasons why this happens. So let's start with New South Wales and Queensland, because residents in those states have to deal with something the rest of Australia doesn't. The electricity supply authorities inject a signal tone into the electricity grid to activate and deactivate residential off-peak hot water systems. Unfortunately, this signal tone does interfere with the LED downlights. To know whether or not you're actually impacted by this Zellweger tone or signal, it's pretty simple. If your downlights flicker, pulse, or generally misbehave at the same time of day or night, every day or night, it's likely that you're impacted by this signal tone injection. So how do you solve this problem? The best way to solve it is to use an LED dimmer and a range of LED downlights specifically designed to be immune to this flicker tone or this injection tone. And that's why at SAL we created the SFI range, which stands for SAL Flicker Immunity. This consists of a dimmer and a range of downlights designed specifically to be immune to this tone. So let's look at these SFI components. The first component is the dimmer. So this is a standard push button dimmer. So a really simple installation for your electrician. So that's stage one, is to install one of those dimmers or swap out your existing dimmer. Then that needs to be matched with one of two types of downlights, both of which are SFI enabled. This more familiar disc type comes with a flex and plug to make it easy to plug and play for your electrician. This also comes in cool white, warm white, and daylight with a little switch on the back so you can choose the color of the light. Or you can use this downlight head, this modular approach, which gives you more of a recessed look. Again, a flex and plug for simple installation by your electrician. When those two components are used together, this eliminates the LED downlight flickering associated with the off-peak hot water tone injection. So of course there's other reasons why LED downlights flicker depending on where you live in Australia, not just New South Wales and Queensland. So let's look at some of those. And probably the first place to start is to understand whether or not your LED dimmer and your LED downlights are actually faulty. And the best person to help you with that is your electrician. Get them to check your dimmer and your downlights and make sure there's no fault, and generally check the electrical wiring to make sure there's no issues there. So reason number two is that maybe you've actually just had your LED downlights changed out recently, but you didn't change your dimmer to an LED dimmer. So you absolutely have to make sure that you have both an LED dimmer and an LED downlights. If those two things aren't together, then you'll probably get flickering or unusual performance and the lights will misbehave generally. So change your dimmer to match your LED downlights. So another thing to look for is whether or not your LED dimmer and your LED downlights are actually compatible with each other. And the best person to advise you on this is a licensed electrician. They'll be able to let you know from their experience which things work best together. So another thing to look out for is whether or not your dimmer is actually overloaded. Every dimmer can support a certain number of downlights depending on its rating. They will flicker and pulse and generally misbehave. Again, your licensed electrician is the best person to tell you whether or not your dimmer is overloaded. So another thing to look for is a minimum load. Just like a dimmer has a maximum load, it also has a minimum load requirement. That is a certain number of lights that are required for the dimmer to operate. And typically this materialises when you try and dim down below a certain level and your lights start to flicker. And then when you dim back up to maybe full, they stop flickering. This is a minimum load issue. Again, your licensed electrician can help you with that by installing a load bypass or a load capacitor across the load and the neutral. But speak to your electrician because they can advise exactly the best thing for your particular situation.